Hello and welcome to another episode of CMO Perspectives with me, Matt York, Global CRO at Foundry. And today I'm delighted to say I'm with Appian co-founder, CTO, and now acting CMO, also a co-author, Michael Beckley. Michael, welcome.
Thank you so much, Matt. Glad to be here.
Let's start with just a brief overview of the Appian business and the challenges you're trying to solve, please.
Appian is a software company that automates business processes. The Appian platform includes everything you need to design, automate, and optimize even the most complex processes from start to finish. And we're used primarily by the world's most innovative organizations, another way of saying some of the largest. And they're the companies that trust Appian to improve their workflows, unify data, optimize operations, and grow through better customer experiences. And we also do a large amount of work with the public sector as well.
You have obviously a fascinating background. You're co-founder, you're CTO, and now you're the acting CMO, which is interesting because normally on the CMO side, people normally come up from the kind of the business operations side. Less and less these days they actually have that technical background. So you've got obviously a complete mix of hardcore technical kind of engineering background and obviously business operations. Tell me how you think that combination is working well together, and how you're driving change within your marketing org.
Buyers are much more sophisticated than they were even just a few years ago. They have access to so much more information that it doesn't do you much good to have, this attempt to try and market and spin everything. You just need to get straight to the point. You need to be able to show clients exactly what your software does and exactly where it fits, and that let them determine where it doesn't fit, instead of trying to overreach.
You talk openly about disagreement and controversial ideas within a business. So just talk a little bit more about that and what you mean by that, and then how you think Appian as an organization that's obviously growing has benefited from that.
Yeah, so technology is a business that changes all the time. This year is the year of artificial intelligence. Last year wasn't, And in the past, we had cloud being a radical new technology shift and mobile, another radical technology shift. These things are expected. That's what you can plan for in the technology business, is that there will be radical new innovations that challenge preconceived notions of the way work gets done and how it should be done. And most of the time, the hype always exceeds the reality for these technologies many years ahead of time. And so the debate must be there about when is the right time to make a change, when is the right time to adapt, when is the right time to embrace, and when is the right time to actually be more conservative, because the technology simply isn't ready yet. That's why it's so important to have a culture of dissent and allow people to really make sure that their ideas are heard. Now, how has it helped Appian? I think it's critical to our success and our longevity, the reality that we are considered a leader in process automation 24 years after we started the company. That wouldn't have been possible without that kind of culture and that opportunity for new people to come in and change not only the way we work, but change what we build and how we fulfill that vision. So the vision hasn't changed, but the actual execution of it, that's always the result of this culture. There's a natural skepticism of 25-year-olds who say that they can transform the mission critical process inside of an insurance company, where you've got hundreds of pages of requirements to do underwriting for even the simplest product. And so it was really important for us to grow up with our clients over the last few decades and learn to how to actually be credible advisors and partners to them as they transform the core elements of their business.
Can you talk a little bit about how the business has grown up and managed to service such a wide spectrum of the world's top businesses?
It begins with building a very powerful engine for capturing the way work happens in a business process, the way people really work, rather than a simplistic version of reality where you're assuming things are going to go along a happy path. Instead, we built an engine for capturing the complexity of the real world in these highly regulated businesses. And that forms the foundation for everything that comes after. That allows us to not only be relevant to a variety of different industries, but relevant in a common way. And we provide the same kind of value to a life sciences firm that we do to a financial services firm, because we're able to capture the most sophisticated business rules, the most complex workflows, and work with data from so many different data sources with our data fabric. That makes our process automation relevant to a broad spectrum.
Appian's positioning is talking about programming the organization, allowing the organization to program, and people are not just software. Feels to me that we're really talking about unleashing the organizational power of digital transformation. Can you just talk a little bit more about that?
What the pandemic did was force organizations to reevaluate themselves, and on a very accelerated time frame. And that was really powerful, because suddenly it wasn't good enough that work happened in a certain analog way in the past, and there was processes that were very manual. Now everything had to be digital. And what Appian does is allow business and IT to collaborate on a shared visual model of the business, a process model, like a flow chart. And that is so empowering, because now when you give your employees the tools to see how work gets done, it allows them to question how work can be made better. And when you give them a platform like Appian, where it's so low code, more people can be involved in imagining better ways to optimize the process, to eliminate bottlenecks, to serve customers faster, to fund accounts faster, to get drugs to market faster, to get vaccines to market faster. All of that becomes possible when you trust that your people have brains, by giving them the tools to make the world around them better, rather than forcing them to accept the way it was done 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's an incredibly optimistic point of view about your workforce. And I think the pandemic proved how powerful it can be, and the results were extraordinary.
It feels like customer advocacy, or being very customer centric, is a part of your approach. How big a role of that is that in your strategy from a marketing point of view, you go to market?
It's a critical part, because even though I love talking about our architecture and our data fabric and our process automation and process mining, the technology doesn't matter if it isn't delivering real value for someone, and if that prospective buyer can't see themselves in that other buyer's journey and that other customer journey.
Can you share anything for either advice or mentorship that you think has dramatically impacted you and put you on this successful path that you're on?
I wake up in the morning and I read business press, I read technical press, I read literature. I like to read a little bit from just pleasure reading, nonfiction, fiction. And leaving some time for that, just to take my brain into a different space, find it much easier to make the connections that are so important at making me good at what I do. And that's, connecting people to opportunities inside of Appian and outside of it.
Are you on the Kindle, or are you paperback?
About 12 years ago, going on 13 years ago, I had a heart transplant. And so I couldn't bring the library with me to the hospital for all those months. And so that's when I became a Kindle person, and became, really forced by necessity to accept the fact that now the whole library was going to be, with me at all times. And so you lose something, you gain something. That's the nature of digitization.
Well, Michael, listen, thank you so much for your time. You've been very generous with that. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
No, as well. Thank you, Matt. I really enjoyed the questions, and thank you.